Turning the tide on diabetes in the South Pacific, the Vegan Nest Center of Influence in Massachusetts, and historic Concord. All this and much more coming up next. Hello and welcome to Mission 360. I'm Gary Krause. Today's program is coming to you from Concord, Massachusetts, just west of Boston. And I'm actually walking beside Walden Pond. And in 1845, a young Henry David Thoreau came and stayed in a cabin by this lake for a 2-year experiment of back to nature. And he wrote the book Walden, and he also wrote many other different things. And he was part of a group of religious and philosophical thinkers who were known as transcendentalists. They were kind of back to nature, talking about the goodness of human beings, talking about freedom. And in many ways, they paralleled the growth of the Adventist Church, but had a very different approach to religious things. Well, on today's program, we're going to be looking at mission all around the world. But first up, let's look at the 10,000 Toes program in the South Pacific.
Illis Becky was sick for 7 years. She suffered from swollen hands and legs and even spent some time recovering in the intensive care unit. But her health was transformed when she attended a lifestyle program run by Adventist. She made changes that had an almost immediate effect. Her symptoms were gone within a few weeks. For the first time in a while, her hands and legs were no longer swollen. Now she is an advocate who helps others on their health journeys. Diabetes is the leading cause of death in the Pacific region, and the rate of diabetes deaths in the Pacific region is one of the highest in the world. The Pacific Islands are known for their fertile land, nutritious fruits and vegetables, as well as their traditional knowledge and practice of planting and preparing food. Yet lifestyle diseases have increased at an alarming rate. If not detected and treated early, diabetes can lead to heart attack, stroke, kidney problems, and disabilities. Through partnership with communities and a holistic approach, the 10,000 Toes campaign is helping people turn the tide on diabetes in the South Pacific. Thanks in part to your contribution to the 13th Sabbath offering in 2019 that helped propel this initiative.
The 10,000 Toes campaign is an exciting initiative of Adventist Health in the South Pacific Division that trains ambassadors to go and deliver whole-person health to not just those who live in the cities, but also expanding into new territories and remote villages through its fleet of mobile wellness hubs.
This campaign is currently working in multiple countries, including the Solomon Islands.
As a church that's involved in health as an important part of its mission, we are very happy that we can use the 10,000 Toes strategy to connect with the communities. And so the 10,000 Toes strategy is an important part of our mission work.
We're doing a great work, breakthrough places that we were not able to, the 10,000 Toes strategy, and that's very important to us in the Solomon. So yeah, thank you, the 13th Sabbath support. Yeah.
The program has a 3-part strategy focus. First, to detect diabetes through health screenings. Second, resourcing lifestyle coaches so that churches and village halls become wellness hubs in the communities. And third, enhancing the capacity of health professionals in lifestyle medicine. Many people have been so impacted by their experience that they want to become ambassadors and help others. Despite having willing participants, the pandemic has slowed training in some areas.
So far in the Solomons, our health department has recruited around 900 ambassadors. And over the last 2 years, we have been able to train only about 150. And so we need to continue with the training so that our ambassadors can go to the villages and do the screening and bring the data to us so that we can plan, what we can do to help educate and also enable the people to be able to have more ability to look after themselves.
Ambassadors in Fiji took to the streets in one of the busiest suburbs. With the approval of a major supermarket, they set up outside to interact with customers and staff. Many were intrigued with the health screening results. These ambassadors have been well trained and are prepared to follow up with each person with a plan of action.
The campaign dreams of turning the tide on diabetes and taking people on a journey to whole person health by having 10,000 ambassadors working in 400 wellness hubs across the South Pacific by the end of 2025. With the help of donations from the 13 Sabbath mission offering, we've been able to progress wider and deeper, and for this we want to express our deep gratitude to the General Conference and the worldwide church.
While there is still much to do, the 10,000 Toes campaign continues to transform lives throughout the South Pacific. Please pray that more hearts will be touched as a result of the compassion shown by the Adventist Church. Thank you for supporting 13 Sabbath offering projects like this. Your contributions make a difference.
My guest is Nicole Boucher, and she and her husband Victor operate this cafe right behind us, the Vegan Nest. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you.
Why do you, as a couple, as a family, run this cafe?
Yeah, honestly for us it's about connecting with our community. It provides such an amazing way for us to be able to nourish people and feed people healthy, nutritious food. But also it's an important part for starting dialogue and conversation about restoration, about healing, and it's a way for us to just share the love of God.
So what motivated you to start it initially?
Yeah, so my husband is an electrician by trade, and I was an organizational psychologist, so we weren't working anywhere in this space. But shortly after I came into the faith, we decided to do medical missionary training. And there we really learned about, just the holistic aspect of the health message and how incredibly important it was, not just for people physically, but spiritually, emotionally, and relationally as well. And it really resonated with me, and we immediately just started praying about ways that we could minister to our community.
Yes.
In a way that was centered around things that we love: food,
Right.
family, conversation. And the Lord just placed it upon our hearts to start going out and doing health education, and that's how we really started. And as we were doing that, we just fell in love with the idea of just preparing these holistic meals, just gathering around together at the table, sort of that Acts 2:42 message,
Yes.
right? Just coming together, breaking bread, having conversation, and then seeing people as they are learning to value their bodies and what they put into them, and learning more about who they are and what they desire out of life as they're being healed and restored, and we're sharing what we believe, and just seeing them come to Jesus. It was everything, and we decided, we have to do this full time. So asked the Lord to make a way, make it possible, and thank God that He did.
What a blessing.
Yes.
And when you walk into the cafe, above your counter you have the word fellowship, which is what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
So how have you been received by the community? What sort of response have you had?
Yeah, we have a very close-knit community here. We came to the New England area not knowing anyone. We started our ministry in New York, and then when we wanted to open the cafe, we came here to Massachusetts, and we had no idea what we were walking into. And it's been such a warm welcome. Immediately people just gravitated toward the food. I think that they were really looking for something that was organic, plant-based, made from scratch, and just simply prepared, And as they were coming into the cafe and they realized that it was a different kind of a restaurant, that it wasn't just a place to come to get food, but it was a place that you could talk. It has, we have our children in the cafe, so they get to know our family, it really becomes a community-style cafe. And that has, I think, allowed us to really make friends with our community and build relationships with stakeholders in the community, with the local government, with other business owners, other people of influence in the area, to really be able to make an impact here.
Beautiful. Now, I would call this a center of influence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're putting Christ's method of ministry into practice. What sort of contacts have you made? How have you been able to touch people's lives?
Yeah, so we have been blessed to see a number of baptisms come from the Bible studies that we have here. We meet every Thursday night for Bible study, and we have seen a number of people come into a life-saving knowledge of who Jesus is. You know, one of our staff members, actually, she was Jehovah's Witness, and she came in and decided that she wanted to spend some time, you know, getting to know us, getting to know more about why we make food the way that we do. And lo and behold, after a couple of years working with us, we were studying a little bit here, a little bit there, and then her mom came and started studying with us as well, and they just got baptized 2 or 3 months ago now. Wow. You know, and so that's been a tremendous blessing, you know.
Yes. So you use this as a platform, not just for the cafe, but also to do other aspects of health ministry. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. So we do a lot of health education. One of our things is to really focus on building partnerships within the community with other stakeholders who are doing similar work from a different perspective. And so there are a number of universities, about 13 universities in the area. And so we partner with them to be able to sort of supplement what they're teaching with the knowledge that we have as medical missionaries. And we let them know that all of our knowledge and information comes from biblical principles, but it's something that can be, you know, applied and that can supplement kind of what they're doing. And so one of my favorite partnerships is with UMass Medical School. Every semester we have the opportunity to speak to their first-year medical residents.
Wow.
And we teach them about culinary medicine. So we talk to them about the sanitarium work. We talk to them about not only plant nutrition and how it can help to alleviate disease or prevent disease altogether, but we share different things about, you know, different aspects of the health message, right? So we talk about rest, we talk about sleep, we talk about, you know, not only nutrition, but exercise and water as well, and just all of the different elements, and they have really found that quite fascinating, and they always end up asking more questions about what we believe and why we believe it than they do about the actual remedies themselves. But it's really powerful to see them embracing these ideas that we have in our faith community, and really seeing a value add to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Nicole, thanks so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
And friends at home, what a wonderful story of putting Christ's method of ministry into practice using a center of influence as a platform. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Concord, and behind me you can see the Old North Bridge where the first shots of the American Revolutionary War started. In fact, that's where the phrase, "the shot that was heard around the world," came from.
Welcome to Mission 360. We have the Netteberg family with us, and maybe you caught a episode of them earlier. They are missionaries in Chad, doctors, in the west central part of Africa, and the kids just described it as hot, which I think they're right. Welcome, Netterbergs. We got Olin and Danae and the kids. You've got 5 of them, and I'm going to let you point to them and tell us their names and ages just real quick.
All right, we have Lyle, who's 12, Zane is 10, Addison is 8, Juniper is 5, and this is Piper, who's almost 2 months old.
Fantastic. What a big family. Now, the Nettebergs, like I said, they're missionaries in Chad, but they don't spend all of their time there, and this story is actually going to be about something that they've done outside of their missionary work. But I'm not going to say that it's not missionary work, because frankly, life is missionary work, no matter where you do it. And so they do try to maintain a balance of work and pleasure. And one of the things that they did with 4 of these kids, right? Not the 5th one, but all 4 of these kids, they hiked the entire Appalachian Trail. The youngest one, if I'm not mistaken, was 4 at the time.
That's right.
And you went, okay, that's what I want you to tell us about. First of all, what possessed you to do this? And second, tell us a little bit, what was the trip like?
Well, we have a long history of making poor decisions. So we decided that after 10 years in Chad, we needed a break. And we wanted to take a sabbatical and spend time with our kids instead of being constantly distracted by the hospital. And we decided what better than to walk. So we walked the Appalachian Trail, which is a 2,193-mile footpath from Georgia to Maine. There's no bicycles, no horses, no cars, no nothing. It's about 3,500 kilometers. So we carried our backpacks with our tents and sleeping bags and cooking pots and food and everything else. And we hiked. And these kids I don't think there's been a family of younger kids to do it. And it was a challenge to keep a 4-year-old motivated to keep hiking. She's the youngest person to ever hike the whole thing. And these are the 3 people who were able to keep her motivated to keep wanting to walk and happily walking every day.
Now, I understand that she got upset at you sometimes. Why? What was that for?
So she carried her backpack, but then when I would carry it, she would get upset because she
would get upset with you for carrying her load for you. Okay, good for you. That's great. Did you do the whole thing in one shot, or did you do it in pieces? How did you do it?
We did it kind of in 1 year, but we broke it up into pieces. So we'd skip around, going wherever we felt that it was ready to go. It was during the year of COVID. So we wanted to go where there was very little COVID, where things were open and safe. So we kind of skipped around a bit, but we did eventually piece the whole thing together. It took us about 7 months to piece everything together and walk it.
Great. Tell me an experience. Tell me something that happened on the trail that was memorable.
Well, what about you, Zane? Do you remember what we did for your birthday?
Hiked Mahoosuc Notch.
So Zane had his 9th birthday on the trail. 10th birthday on the trail.
I know
9th birthday on the trail. I know it. And,
we can't remember their ages.
And we were in Maine, and we happened to be hiking the hardest mile of the trail. And so we tied a helium balloon to the back of his backpack, and you're going through boulders and under rocks. You have to take off your backpack and push it ahead of you and then scoot on your belly to get through. And that goes on for about a mile. And it took us about 3 hours through that mile. But we had a deal with Zane that if he could make it the whole way without popping the balloon, he would get a waterproof watch for his birthday. And he made it that whole way.
Not for his birthday.
Okay, and I see the watch.
This is actually a new watch, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Cool. So you spent this time, how would you say that it changed you as a family?
What do you guys think? Our legs got stronger.
Your legs got stronger.
A lot stronger.
And also, we got bigger because during the last month, we gained another creature to our family.
It changed us because it added this one to the family. It was a lot of time together, and it also taught us that, we can do hard things. Just in case Chad, Africa, and mission work wasn't hard enough, we can do hard physical things. We can be persistent and stubborn and keep going every day, all day long for 7 days at one thing. And also we learned that we're good at entertaining each other, telling stories, making up songs, singing together, playing games, making up games, without getting too bored of each other, too sick of each other. So it was a really great experience.
Definitely sounds like it. Wow. Okay, kids, are you going to do it again someday?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, one. Oh, maybe. We got one, maybe.
What about you, Jennifer? Do you want to go hiking again?
No.
No, had enough of that one.
I want to.
Well, what do you guys want to do next year?
You want to do the CDT. I want to.
See,
I want to do the Appalachian again.
So some want to do the Appalachian Trail again. Some want to do the Continental Divide Trail, which is 3,100 miles from Mexico to Canada. We're debating.
Okay. Wow, sounds fantastic. Well, I understand that you're heading back to Chad. Did you say tomorrow?
This weekend.
This weekend, okay. Heading back to Chad this weekend with everybody in tow. I just wish God's blessing on you, and it's awesome that you are willing to do difficult things wherever in the world it happens to be. So I hope that all of our viewers are going to keep you in their prayers also. I believe you have a blog. Do you keep up with it at all that we could refer people to?
We have a blog. It's missionarydoctors.blogspot.com. We haven't written much lately, but maybe we'll be inspired to write a little more now.
Please do. And so I would encourage all of you that are watching to find that blog and to keep up with what they're doing in Chad. I read some of the stories just recently, even though they're a little bit old. Incredible stuff that they're doing over there. This is what mission is all about, and in this world that is heading for disaster. But we have a better thing coming, and we are all missionaries in trying to help get this world ready to meet Jesus when he comes. And thank you so much, Nederberg, for being with us and for sharing some of your experiences in that journey. Thank you.
Around the world, there are many territories, many countries where it is very difficult for Adventist mission work to go forward, often because of government regulations that prohibit mission activity. We refer to these as veiled countries. Let's learn more about that now.
Do you remember hearing stories about Adventists who hid under tables with layers of blankets so they could type Bible lessons? Or about those who braved icy waters to be baptized in secret? A lot has changed in the world over the years. But one thing hasn't changed. There are still areas of the world where it's difficult and even dangerous to become a Christian, and where it's difficult and dangerous to share the gospel. We've gotten used to how fast information travels around the world. Post something online, and you can have immediate responses from halfway around the world. It wasn't always that way. In the late 1800s, it could take more than a month for a letter to travel from the United States to China. It took that long for a ship to make the journey. Today, we can send a message that will be received in seconds. That's great, isn't it? Or is it? When it comes to mission, instant communication can be a blessing, giving us new ways to reach out and share the gospel. But it can be a problem, particularly in areas where sharing the gospel is illegal or unwelcome. Stories posted online can be seen by anyone, including those opposed to the mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. These people can quickly stir up trouble, inform authorities, and shut down our work. We thank God for the wonderful stories of His leading in these regions of the world, and we all love to hear these stories. Yet we have a responsibility not to cause undue problems for Adventist workers and believers on the ground. A simple story made public has the power to put people's lives in danger and stall mission work. That's why we're putting a veil over these stories. When you see a mission story or video labeled Veiled Country or Veiled City, it's because it comes from a place where details are sensitive. This veil will hide the real country or city or real names of people. But we will share as much of the story as possible while protecting people's lives and the church's mission. According to a Pew Research Center study, in 2019, government restrictions on religion reached their highest point since 2007. These restrictions include new laws impacting religious workers and activities, religious communication, and even funds supporting Christian mission work. So for now, veiled mission stories will let us see part, but not all of the picture. We will see that God is still working in people's lives despite opposition, oppression, and even persecution. Of course, we never know which stories and pictures will be posted on the internet, but we are intentional about how much we share. Our stories shouldn't keep people from hearing the gospel. We don't want to be the reason someone is hurt or even killed. We have faith that God will protect His people, but we have our own responsibility too. So when you see veiled country or veiled city, please understand the reason. And say a special prayer for the people who are working on the front lines in these challenging mission areas, where a stray message or an overheard conversation can lead to beatings, arrest, or even death. Someday the veil will be lifted. Someday we will meet the people behind the veil, and perhaps we will be able to say, I heard your story. I couldn't see you and I didn't know your name, but I prayed for you. Thank you for your support of mission around the world, especially in veiled countries.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on today's program, and I hope that you've been inspired and challenged by our 360-degree view of mission around the world. And I want to thank you so much for your support of Adventist Mission. Your support through prayers is so important. It's so encouraging to global mission pioneers planting new churches, to those working in centers of influence, to missionaries of various descriptions, to know that there are people uplifting them in prayer. And thank you also for your generous gifts to Global Mission and your mission offerings every week. They do make a difference. Well, for Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.